You are listening to Smart Women's Dating Podcast, episode number 77. Welcome to Smart Women's Dating Podcast. I am your host, certified life coach Lærke Nielsen, and I help smart, independent women attract the love they deeply desire without having to chase or settle. This podcast will give you the mindset tools and insights you need to finally crack the code to your love life. Are you ready? Then let's go. Hey friend, today I will share a conversation that I had with a listener. As you might know, I have throughout April offered free 30 minutes calls with anyone who wanted to get support on the dating journey and who was willing to share the conversation here on the podcast. And today it's one of these calls. We are going to be talking about how to let a man know that you're interested, but not actually be the driver of the connection, not be the one who asks for his phone number or invites him out. Because in this case, if we do that, what often happens after a while is if the guy always says yes, but never makes a move himself, then you start doubting if he really is interested or just flattered by your initiative and attention. So if you want a man to step up and make an effort, you need to lean back. We also talked about letting attraction grow and develop over time. So not making decisions too fast about whether you want to continue dating someone or not. And this also means not having attraction be one of the criteria that needs to be fulfilled from the very beginning. See if this can show up after 3 to 5 dates instead. So I'm not going to say more, I'm just going to let you listen to the conversation, and I hope you will find it useful. So maybe you want to start by sharing with me what you're struggling with in your dating life.
Okay, well, I am 49. I am divorced, 2 kids. I've been separated, divorced for 5 years. And I think for the most part, my biggest struggle was an attraction to unavailable men. And that seems to have not been as bad in the last couple of years, but I probably have a mindset issue in terms of feeling like I go through the apps, like there might be an entire week when I wouldn't even swipe the right way on a single person. So I just feel like, I don't know if I'm just really fussy and really picky, but I think for me, I'm working on my mindset. I have to admit that I've been listening to your podcast for a while now, and I understand the whole idea of manifestation and all of that. And I really believe that there's something to it. So I have been making a conscious effort to kind of like to have the right mindset when I'm looking at when I'm swiping, like he might be here today, who knows, like just kind of thinking positive kind of thoughts while I'm doing it. Because a lot of times I'll get stuck in the no, 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 you know what I mean? This negative kind of feeling when I'm swiping even, but I probably just feel discouraged by the fact that I only meet somebody that I'm kind of attracted to and excited about like once a year. You know what I mean? Like it's rare enough. And I am getting used to my own company and like trying to know that I'll always be there for myself. And that's a good thing. And I think that I've come a long way with that. But I do end up like if I start seeing somebody and I know it's not right, it takes me a little while to get out of it because I just get used to having that in my life, you know?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to add a little comment to what you said about manifestation. So I don't actually teach manifestation, but I know about it. And I think one thing that people tend to forget is that it's not enough to have a positive mindset and to have the right feelings. You also need to take action. That's the part that some people forget. I'm not saying you forget it, but I just want to make it clear that we need to take action in order to create the result. And in this case, the action could be to allow yourself to go on dates with guys that you don't feel super attracted to in the beginning. When you say that most of the profiles you choose to say no to, how many, let's look at like in the past year or so, how many dates have you been on?
In the past year, maybe 3.
And were they reflecting the number of guys that you were matching with inside
No,
the apps? No.
I would talk to more, but I get easily turned off by, either an attitude or something somebody might say or
So you match with a number of guys, and of these, three of them you've seen in the past year.
yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably like only one of them I would have gone on a subsequent second date with, only one. Yeah, what I also kind of was struggling with that I kind of wrote when I wrote in to talk to you is just trying to figure out ways of meeting people in real life. Like for
Mm.
example, I went to a gym class last night and there was somebody there that was attractive and like interesting and I don't know what to do. Like I kind of made eye contact and as I was
Mhm.
leaving, I ended up saying ya or something like that, but I don't think I have the confidence to
Mm.
actually have a conversation with somebody. Because this has happened before, and I always just either leave it up to them or I just like, oh, maybe next time. But there might not be a next time. So
Yeah, okay. So there are kind of two issues here. The one is connecting with men in the dating apps and having more dates than three a year and maybe
mhm,
finding more good matches. And the other one is the organic part where you meet
yeah,
guys in real life. We can say that the organic part, we can start by that. The disadvantage in doing that is that you don't actually know if they're single.
I don't.
So you are going out to the gym and you could meet guys that have a girlfriend or they are already committed somehow. And that's, of course, the big minus. And then the second thing is trying to find the places where there's a chance you meet, there's a higher chance you meet guys. I mean, the gym, there will always be guys. It could also be signing up for a dance course, for instance, dance class or cooking class, stuff like that. There will be a good mix of men and women.
I
And
did try that. Last year I took a
mm,
tennis course. I actually signed up for two consecutively, so it was like 12 weeks of tennis, and it was literally all women.
but then, of course, that's not a good place to look. Then you want to try to think about other places to go where you would like to go anyway. And I think I have actually an episode about that. I think it's one of the first ones where I mentioned a lot of different options where you can think about, going to, of course, there's the hotel bars, there's the normal bars and cafes, there are museums, there are libraries, there are different fairs. If you have like a boat fair, for instance, would typically be a place with a lot of men, but it's going to be something where you find it fun and useful for yourself as well. And of course, just going out with friends as well. And then again, if you meet someone and you don't have the confidence to connect, here what I suggest is a little exercise that you can do that I would advise you to try to do also with someone that you're not actually that attracted to. Because when we meet, we see someone that we're attracted to, is always more difficult, it's more challenging to connect with them because we start to get nervous and all that. Whereas it's much, much easier with a guy that you're not actually attracted to. And so you can make it a habit that every time you go out somewhere in a public place where there are also men, you want to make eye contact with one of them and just give them a little smile and get used to that situation, get comfortable with that situation. I'm not saying you will not be nervous at all if you see someone who's attractive, but it will feel more natural to you.
Did try that. It was interesting because I actually think this guy at the gym was single because I mean I've gotten better. I'm like checking for rings and that sort of thing. And like I stayed longer to clean up and he ended up staying longer. Like I actually think he might have been like remotely interested, but I kind of chickened out, I guess.
Yeah, and so we want to be careful with thinking that they are remotely interested. I mean, if a man is interested, he's gonna make one or the other kind of move, typically, at
Okay.
least if he is in his masculine energy. He's gonna come towards you and say hi to you as a minimum and just check out if you're open to connect.
And that might be part of my problem too, I think. I think it's on me, I guess.
What is on you?
Well, I mean, the onus is on me to make the move or something, but
The whole point in making eye contact and smiling and maybe doing it again a couple of times, holding the eye contact a little bit longer than you would normally do, that is
yeah.
to signal to him non-verbally that you are interested. And if he's a guy who is single, he's interested and he's capable of asking a woman out or showing his interest, he's going to come towards you. And
Okay.
you can decide, you can decide to be open to men that don't do that. But you can also just decide that this is the minimum criteria they have to fulfill. They need to have the guts to come towards me and ask me out. If they don't do that, if they can't even do that, if they feel scared about that, it's not going to be a good relationship anyway. It's not going to
Right.
work for the long term anyway. That's a choice you can make. I'm not saying you should, but if you are looking for a masculine man who can pursue you, who can take initiative with you, then maybe that's actually a good entry criteria to say he's got to be able to at least come towards me, start a conversation, say hi. And if everything goes well, he's going to ask for my phone number. He's going to invite me. He's going to ask, hey, do you want to grab coffee one day or something like that? And anyone
Okay.
who's not doing that, they're either not interested or they are just a little bit too scared.
Okay.
And then in the end, if that is the case and you have to go towards them, you have to do all the work to set up a date. This is also going to be the pattern inside the relationship that you're the one who's driving it. You are taking all the initiative, you're organizing everything. And in the end, maybe it's also you who ended.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like my last most meaningful relationship that I was in was like that. Yeah, it ended because, I mean, I guess he acknowledged that, I mean, there might have been more to it, but he acknowledged that his feelings he didn't believe were at the same place that mine were. Like he just wasn't. So I think I was pushing things forward and not letting him. It's tough because, I mean, with work and things like with other parts of my life, it's very beneficial to be,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. In a masculine
in
energy.
my
Yeah.
masculine energy.
Yes.
But this
Yes.
area, it's very, very confusing because
Yeah.
sometimes it kind of, it feels like it's working, but it's not,
No.
like it's not really.
It's very useful to have access to a good masculine energy in so many situations in life, for sure. And you want to appreciate that. So, the thing about dating and also inside the relationship is exactly what you're explaining there. You can have a relationship with someone and you're not really sure if they have the right feelings because you are doing all the work. Whereas if you lean back and let them come to you, you always know that they are not on a date with you because you organized something and they didn't have anything else to do on a Friday night. They are on a date with you because they decided that they wanted that and they took initiative. It requires a bit of patience to not take initiative when we think it's
Yeah,
not moving forward. But in the end, if you take all the initiative, you actually don't know if it would move forward if you didn't.
right.
And usually, guys, they don't say no. If a woman invites them for like a dinner or a home cooked meal or something is nice and cozy, but it doesn't mean that he would take the initiative himself. So we can get into this belief that maybe he's interested because he keeps saying yes when I ask him on a date. He keeps showing up, he keeps answering my messages. However, he never writes me, he never takes initiative himself. And that's actually a bad sign. So that's why we want to hold back with all the action. And then you can show him in many ways. You can come towards him with your feminine energy and show him in many ways that you are interested, but without taking the actual initiative.
Okay.
Then the other part was the online
The
dating.
online part.
Now, I don't know if you live in a small or a big city.
I live in a big city.
Yeah, you live in a big
Hmm.
city, and so you should be able to go on more than 3 days in a year.
And I would say my pattern has been that I have been going on more. Like in the past, I used to go on more, but I actually felt that I wasn't being picky enough because I wasn't having a good time and I felt like it was a waste of their time and a waste of
Mm.
my time. So I guess that's what's happened before in the past is that I kind of just wanted to kind of narrow things down and just go out with people that I actually knew I really liked, or at
Mm.
least I thought I would like. But I think what you're saying is I actually should try for more like numbers, I guess, in terms of maybe somebody else surprise me, which
Yes, to
if
me, it
possible.
sounds like if you say you live in a big city and you have 3 dates in a year, it sounds like you might not be open enough to meeting guys that are not instantly attractive to you, or that you are not really sure you might like them or not. And try to connect with a little bit more in the app and see who takes initiative and who is inviting you out. And I would advise you to, now I don't know your criteria, but I advise you to try to open your criteria a little bit, connect with a little bit more, and
Yep.
then be open to go on a date with the guys that invite you.
Okay.
And then you take at least one date. And if you only want one date, be sure that you know precisely your reasons and that you like your reasons. Otherwise, you can continue and do something like 3 dates. Are you worried about not feeling attracted to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
That my concern is that because this has happened too early on, and that when I was just recently separated, that I met somebody and I really liked them as a person, but I wasn't attracted to them. And it ended up going on for a ridiculous amount of time.
Mm.
And I ended up seeing this person on and off for like 2 years. And like I was seeing other people as well, and it wasn't like a romantic relationship, but I know that that's what they want. It just felt not right because
Yeah.
I felt like they wanted more than what I was giving, and
Yeah.
it ended up being very awkward.
You're definitely not supposed to do that. I mean, the point is to maybe go on 3 to 5 dates. And if you feel absolutely no attraction, then end it by then. But
Yep.
just be open to the fact that you can meet someone, and on the first date, you might not feel a big attraction to him.
Yep.
But if there is something about him that makes you curious, just a small thing that makes you interested, and you can see that he's doing all the right things, he's following up, he's writing you again, he's inviting you again, then you want to be open to seeing him again. And then not decide before maybe 3 to 5 dates in and see, do I even feel like kissing him? Or do I
Right.
feel ick when I think
Right.
about that?
Yeah.
It's a no go. And then you want to end it and not just
Okay.
have him hang around.
Because
Yes.
usually with anybody that I've seen, I've usually felt that right away.
Yeah.
I've never really experienced. Actually, that's not true. I think with my ex-husband.
Okay. Yeah. And when you say you had a past of being attracted to this kind of unavailable man, typically the pattern here is that there's a lot of chemistry and there's a lot of hot and cold. So in the beginning, we feel this rush of attraction, and then it almost develops into a dependency where we accept crumbs, we accept that we're not getting the attention we want, because when we finally get it, it's so great. And
Yes.
it's a whole different situation when you meet someone who is a good long-term match and who is available. He might seem a little boring to you in the beginning. And so you got to sort of rewire your nervous system to be open to meeting someone who ticks all the objective criteria around age and background and so on, and who actually seems to be a good match in the sense that he keeps inviting you, he's consistent, he's prioritizing you, he's making time for you, he wants to see you on dates, and see how that can develop. Because you can be surprised of all of a sudden starting to feel attracted to a guy because you feel really good in his company. And he
Right.
could be a fun guy, and he could be someone who's very curious and interested in you and showing you that he really wants to get to know you. And maybe he's not that attractive in the way he looks, but then once you get to know the person inside, you start to feel differently.
Yeah.
That
No,
is a possibility.
I do think it might have been like that with my ex-husband, to be
Mm,
honest, but that's like going back 20 some odd years. So I know that you're right. I know it's possible. I think I've just, like you say, I've gotten into this habit of expecting an instant kind of feeling.
mm,
And, it's maybe leading me astray a little bit. I mean, you can feel that with, the wrong kind of person, I guess.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it is exciting and
Maybe what would help is you make a list of the criteria that are important to you in a
yeah.
man. And then you look at that every time, and you don't put attractiveness in there as one thing that you need from the beginning. Of course, you
Mhm.
want to feel attracted to him down the line. You can't have a relationship without that. But Every time your brain tells you he's not attractive, he might be a little bit boring. Why does he have so much time? Why does he keep inviting me? Doesn't he have a life of his own? He wants to spend the whole weekend with me. Our brain can do all sorts of weird things when we're not used to that. So I don't know if these are thoughts that you're having, but once you start thinking, I want to make a decision about this guy and I don't feel that attracted to him, then you look at your list, the criteria that you want for a future partner, and you see if he's actually fulfilling that, then you want to move on, you want to continue, and maybe give him like a few more dates before you decide.
Yeah.
Because then it's not so much about giving the guy a chance, it's about giving yourself a chance, because you have more information to base your decision on when you
Right.
then at the end you say, maybe I'm not interested. So you're more certain that you're not letting someone good go because you made the decision too early.
Right. Like, I guess what you're making a decision based on really early is not very much.
No, it's your perception of who the guy might be based on typically on looks and charm and things like that, which
Yeah.
really says nothing about his long-term potential as a partner. And also do the organic connecting with guys, do that at the same time.
I will.
Yeah.
I think I was putting so much pressure on myself to actually, but I like what you're saying in terms of just being receptive and like showing that, you would be receptive. I think somewhere along the lines, one of my friends told me that I was unapproachable in the gym. So I've taken it very, that I have to do all the work because like they won't do it. So I think I took that to heart. It was a guy friend, and he just
Yeah.
said that he would, because I used to go to the gym with him,
Yeah.
but we never talked, but we met on the apps.
Okay.
And he had given me the feedback later that he would never have approached me at the gym.
Yeah, but that's actually interesting information. I mean, you can decide to not take it seriously, but you could also get curious and say, okay, that would be interesting to know more about. And I mean, being unapproachable doesn't necessarily mean that you are not taking initiative. We can be unapproachable if we're completely in our own mind and we are sort of closed off mentally. We are thinking about something else. We're listening to music, typically in the gym, right? And
Yeah.
and maybe have this phase of like being deep in our own thoughts and not open, not even having eye contact with anyone. If we go to the gym to do workout, that's normal to have this approach because we're not there to connect with other people. We're there to do the exercise. But if you're thinking, oh, I'm actually also here to connect, then it's a
I have
different.
been feeling that way lately
Mhm.
because I'm mostly working from home. So, I mean, the gym is actually a very big outing for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm among other people for one of the only times if it's not something to do with one of my kids or something like that. So I feel like my attitude has changed. Like I think I am more open and I'm,
Yeah.
definitely looking around and, like trying to kind of take it all in and be open. But,
But then you are already more approachable and you just look around, as you say, and smile
yeah.
to a few people, say hi. And in that sense, you're showing that you are approachable. You also
Yeah.
show a guy that you are approachable by speaking to someone else or just asking a question or something like that. You are showing that you're someone we can go and talk to, and then not having something in your ear so you can't communicate. Then, of course, it's a different kind of workout you'll get.
That's right. Yeah.
So there you have to choose. All right. I hope this was useful.
It was. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so
Okay.
much for calling in and sharing.
Yeah, it was lovely to see you. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like what you're hearing on this podcast and you want to get support from a coach on your love journey, I invite you to book a free consult call with me. You will find the link in the show notes. And also, don't forget to subscribe, and I would love it if you would rate and review this podcast, and then you'll also help other women find it.